When two rock legends collide, the world listens. But no one expected Ozzy Osbourne to drop a bombshell on live TV about the legendary Led Zeppelin guitarist, Jimmy Page. What really happened? Why did Ozzy decide to speak out after all these years? This is the untold story behind the shocking moment that rocked the world of music. Ozzy Osbourne and Jimmy Page are two giants who helped shape the very foundation of rock music. Ozzy, the wild and unpredictable frontman of Black Sabbath, and Jimmy Page, the mysterious and brilliant guitarist of Led Zeppelin, were never in the same band, but their names have always been side by side in rock history. They ruled the same era, dominated the same stages, and gathered millions of fans across the globe. However, while the world saw them as brothers in rock, behind the scenes, a different story was unfolding. In the 1970s, both bands were at their peak. Black Sabbath had created heavy metal with crushing guitars and dark lyrics, while Led Zeppelin took blues, rock, and mysticism and turned it into magic. The two bands respected each other publicly. But within the tight circle of rock, whispers began to grow. People noticed that Ozzy and Jimmy rarely shared a stage or did interviews together. Even when mega festivals brought all the stars under one roof, the two legends kept their distance. Ozzy, known for his wild honesty, never held back when asked about his views on other musicians. Over the years, he had praised Jimmy's guitar skills, but often hinted that something deeper was keeping them apart. Fans speculated, was it ego, rivalry, or something darker? It was supposed to be a fun night. Ozzy was invited to a late-night British talk show to discuss his career, upcoming projects, and reflect on his wild past. The crowd was excited, and the host seemed ready for laughs and outrageous stories. But things took a sharp turn when the conversation turned to the old rock legends. The host casually mentioned Jimmy Page, calling him a genius and asking Ozzy what he thought about the Led Zeppelin guitarist. For a moment, Ozzy smiled and nodded, but then his expression changed. He leaned forward, looked into the camera, and said something that made the entire studio go silent. "I've kept quiet for too long," he began. "Jimmy's a great guitarist, no doubt, but people don't know the other side of him. I've seen things. I've heard things, and it's time someone said it out loud." The host tried to interrupt, sensing the shift in tone, but Ozzy waved him off. "You all think he's just a mysterious artist, but I've seen him mess with stuff he shouldn't have. I'm talking dark stuff." After Ozzy's live TV confession, media outlets went into overdrive. Interviews, podcasts, and rock historians tried to piece together any past clues that might support his shocking claims. People started revisiting old footage, magazine articles, and even hidden interviews from the 1970s and 80s. And what they found made the mystery even darker. Back in the 1970s, Jimmy Page had already built a reputation for his fascination with the occult. He didn't hide it. He proudly talked about Aleister Crowley, practiced rituals, and surrounded himself with ancient texts and symbols. He even opened an occult bookstore in London and reportedly held private ceremonies in his homes. While many thought it was just part of his rock star image, Ozzy's statements suddenly gave all those old stories new meaning. One story resurfaced from an old roadie who worked with both Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath. He claimed that once, during a tour stop in the US, Jimmy invited several people, including Ozzy, to a private gathering at a mansion. According to the roadie, Ozzy left early, shaken and disturbed by what he had seen. At the time, no one took it seriously. But after Ozzy's live TV reveal, people started connecting the dots. Ozzy himself never publicly commented on that night before, but in the days following the interview, he was approached by several reporters. In one brief follow-up, he said, "There are things I saw that I wish I could unsee. People playing with darkness, thinking they could control it. Jimmy was deep into it." Even fans started noticing something odd. Photos of Jimmy Page from the 70s often showed him wearing rings and symbols linked to ancient mysticism. On stage, he would sometimes play guitar in strange poses or stand in complete silence for minutes before playing. Some thought it was part of the act. Others now wondered if it was more than just performance. People believed Ozzy Osbourne and Jimmy Page had mutual respect as musical icons. But behind the scenes, tension was growing. Those close to them started coming forward after the TV incident, revealing that the two had rarely spoken in private, and when they did, the conversations were often cold or brief. One music journalist recalled trying to arrange a charity event in the early 2000s where both Ozzy and Jimmy were supposed to appear. "Ozzy backed out last minute," the journalist said. Later, someone from his team told me it was because Jimmy would be there. He didn't want to be in the same room.